I am and why I'm talking to you today, and then we'll get cracking with the presentation. So yeah, my name's Jack. I'm a student recruitment officer based actually at Sheffield, and I've been working here for just into 4 years now. So this is my fourth year working at the university. However, my higher education journey, it sort of started in 2015 when I started my own degree, finished my degree in 2018, and I've worked across multiple institutions, working with students across both learning participation pathways, access pathways, some high achievement pathways as well, all different manner of contexts to help students understand what works best for them when they are applying and trying to find the correct degree to help them succeed as well. What we're going to be focusing on, I'll show you in just a few slides' time, but some headlines from us as an institution. In case you aren't too overly familiar with Sheffield, we are a World Top 100 university, and that is in the QS World University Rankings for 2026 as well. We're also the #1 university in the Russell Group, as voted for in the National Student Survey 2025. We've still got the #1 Students' Union, which we've had for a very long time now, probably for about 9 years in a row. We've won the award. And alongside that, we have the top 10 for career support, the Student Crowd Awards as well, University of the Year for Student Experience, and the Times and Sunday Times Good University Guide. And also, finally, 92% of research is world leading or internationally excellent, and that's based upon the Research Excellence Framework for 2021. So these are just some of the headlines. Hopefully that might pique your interest and help you understand what type of institution we are, and why students might choose to come to us. So keep those in the back of your mind, and we'll sort of frame some of those a little bit later on through the presentation as well. And if for whatever reason you're not familiar with where Sheffield actually is in the country, we're actually, funnily enough, in an area called South Yorkshire, which actually basically starts as the north of the country. So Yorkshire and anything north of that, where you find places like Manchester, Leeds, that's pretty much the north of the UK as well. But we're very central to the middle of the country. You'd find that we're like 40 minutes from Leeds, 50 minutes by train, Manchester, hour and 15 from Birmingham as well, 2 hours from London, 2 hours from Newcastle, and then so on and so forth, Bristol and Edinburgh as well. But enough of that, and now I'll get talking about what you're really here to see, and understand what our pathways are like for STEM and what pathways are generally like across the rest of UK taught higher education courses as well. So what we're going to focus on is what STEM really is. We're going to be looking at entry routes, which would include direct and foundation years, as well as some other alternative entry routes. We're going to look at how to pick the right pathway for you, what real degree options are available at Sheffield, and we'll also be hearing from our student ambassadors who are going to do a bit more of an introduction to the self alongside some slides later on. Following that later on in the presentation, you'll also have opportunities to answer any questions that you've got after this presentation to them at the end as well. So do put those in the chat and we'll get those addressed. We've also got some ones that I think have been asked before the presentation, so we'll answer those as well. That's great. We'll also look at lots of different STEM careers that our graduates typically go on to, and also some ones that you might not have even considered as well. So what does STEM actually stand for? So STEM essentially is your sciences, your technology, your engineering, and your mathematics as well. And there are lots and lots of different things that these 4 subcategories can be narrowed down even further into, and we're going to be looking at each and every individual one of those as we move through the presentation. But the most important thing to know about STEM is why it matters. So STEM, it does drive progress in society. When you hear about new vaccines, renewable energy, space missions, artificial intelligence, these advances are all made possible because STEM professionals work together to find solutions. So, for example, you might get climate scientists analysing data to predict weather and climate patterns. You might get engineers that design renewable energy systems like wind turbines and solar farms. Technologists also develop medical devices and health monitoring apps. Mathematicians create models that underpin almost every area of science engineering. STEM, it isn't just important, it is essential for developing as a society, pushing everything forward, and it helps tackle those real world problems that actually matter out there as well. So there are lots of different ways that you can get into studying with STEM at a higher education institution. And these can be basically narrowed down to these four sub areas. You might get what we call direct entry, which is your A levels or equivalent applying through UCAS. And we'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. You might also have foundation years for those without typical A level backgrounds in maths, physics, or science. You might have outreach or access programs for eligible students. We'll talk about eligibility later on as well, to help gain experience and support before starting a degree. Then you might also have degree apprenticeships where you're working and you're also studying at the exact same time as each other as well. So in terms of entry requirements, these are really important that every student, before they even consider, applying for any type of course, they'll want to do their research on what the grade boundaries typically are. And for STEM, these type of courses at university, they usually do require higher grades. So for example, something like general engineering is an A-star AA entry at Sheffield. That doesn't mean every STEM courses. You might have some of our biology courses or bioscience courses where it goes down to AAB. There are foundation years attached to some of those as well, which I'll detail on the next couple of slides. But the most important thing to know is these type of courses, they do typically have one STEM related subject to be able to even apply into those. And what I mean by STEM related subjects, these would be your sciences subjects. So things like physics, things like maths, biology, psychology, if you've studied that previously as well. They're usually a requirement to go on to study a STEM course as well. You also, every single university across their country will publish their requirements really carefully. And if they publish them one year, that doesn't necessarily mean that'll be the exact same entry. So these do fluctuate year on year. So it's really important that you do check these carefully when you are applying. And like I said, that varies significantly. So even in the same city, we've got University of Sheffield and Sheffield Hallam University. We do teach courses that have the same name as each other. That doesn't mean that they're the same course. The syllabus that is taught on those courses are completely different, and the requirements to get into those courses are different as well. So you do need to look at every single individual university out there that you might be interested in, work out if what you want to study at those universities are even offered on the course, and what those entry requirements are as well. The other thing to consider is if you are doing an EPQ, I can't quite remember if they do EPQs here at your centre, but if you do at the University of Sheffield and most universities across the UK, especially in the Russell Group, if you do an EPQ and it is in a relevant subject area to the subject that you're wanting to go into, they will usually give you a 1 grade entry reduction as well. So we definitely do that across all our subjects at Sheffield, and that's always worth checking on different university web pages. We will be talking now about what specific courses are in these areas, but just want to tell you about the entry requirements before you get into that. Now, one frequently sort of myth that we get around studying STEM or engineering or anything related is that you can't study these type of courses without studying both maths and physics. And this is not true. Maths A level definitely is more commonly asked for. However, lots of courses, especially in engineering now, they do consider alternative routes with foundation courses. So if you can get on the entries to go onto the foundation for A levels, which typically sit around something like BBC, even BBB in some cases, you can study that foundation year, and that will upskill you up to speed by the time that you start your first year in that course as well. Now, we also have STEM foundation years, which I've just been detailing a little bit there, and it is useful if you've not got good grades, but sorry, if you have got the grades but you've not got the right subject knowledge, maybe you pick different A levels to what you actually really want to do. Now you've spent a little time studying those A levels, you might have been deciding to do a bit of a course change. That's absolutely fine. That's what a foundation year is for. You might also find that you don't quite meet the entry requirements for direct entry, so you might have been wanting to apply into one of those STEM courses from the get-go, but you've not quite hit the boundary. You can do a foundation year to upskill your knowledge as well. And these are going to cover the key principles and knowledge needed for university study. So it's basically to get you in the right place to be able to succeed in those studies as well. And passing a foundation year often does lead directly onto your chosen degree course. So it is a really simple transition from studying that into the main course as well. This obviously can vary between HE providers, but at Sheffield, you'll find that is always the case as well. We also offer a few different summer schools or different access projects as well that you need to know about. So Basically, most universities will run different schemes to help students understand how to get onto their courses and succeed in them. It might be that they've come from a disadvantaged background, or it might be that they could be like excelling in a different subject. There are lots of different opportunities for students to be able to sign up for one of these summer schools. And essentially, it gives them an opportunity to take part in hands-on workshops, taste sessions, practical lab activities, work alongside current Sheffield undergraduate STEM students, so students like the ones that we've got on call today, which you'll hear from shortly. You'll be able to experience university life through activities and also a 3-day summer school where you'll be living at the University of Sheffield 3 days alongside our ambassadors and working on different projects at the university as well. Now, the benefit of doing all that is you do get a eligibility for a contextual offer, which is subject to some conditions, but it's usually a 2-grade entry reduction as well on those courses. And then the final sort of route and pathway that a lot of students take into studying a STEM degree is a degree apprenticeship. And what they are is basically a route to a full university degree while gaining practical on-the-job experience. So it's essentially combining academic study with real life work in the industry. Now, you would often choose to study a degree apprenticeship to gain transferable skills that are valued by the employers that you're going to want to go and work with after you finish your degree, but learning those whilst you're also studying. Now, there's lots of practical elements as just studying a degree without a degree apprenticeship as well. So don't think, if you're not doing a degree apprenticeship, you're not going to get those. That definitely isn't the case, but it might give you a closer link to one of those employers that you might specifically want to work with. Having studied that route as well. And of course, with a degree apprenticeship, you've probably heard this before, but the course is paid for by your employer and in partnership with your employer. So you don't have to pay anything for your studies, and you'll also be receiving payment at the exact same time to do that apprenticeship as well. Now, some examples at Sheffield that are real and they actually exist. You've got manufacturing engineer, a product design and development, control systems engineer. These are all real apprenticeships that give you real degrees at the end of them. So you're not at any academic disadvantage for doing a degree apprenticeship. You end up with a degree just like everybody else as well. Brill. So now I've told you all about the different pathways into studying. Now I can actually tell you what you can study at the University of Sheffield. So first I'm going to go a little bit closer linked with what our sciences are and some of the things that aren't typically in the engineering schools. We've got another slide on that next, but you've got things like our biological sciences. So these study areas typically include genetics, microbiology, ecology, molecular biology. Here you're going to learn laboratory skills, data analysis, experimental design. This can be relevant for careers in biotechnology, healthcare research, environmental sciences, and your pharmaceuticals as well. And we'll detail those careers in a few slides as well. Chemistry as well. You find, and of course, you could even look at our chemistry BSc. That has a focus on chemical reactions, materials chemistry, analytical techniques, and also problem solving within those areas. So you'll find lots of laboratory experimentation on these courses, looking at your quantitative skills, preparing for roles, maybe working with pharmaceuticals, material sciences as well. You might also be a forensic science analyst as well, and also you might even choose to tie in you'll see in the chemistry field with some engineering topics and choose to be a chemical engineer as well. Our mathematics and statistics degrees, you find, and we'll also hear from Georgina very soon, who's going to tell you about how her mathematics course is going. These can often cover pure and applied mathematics, statistical methods, modelling, data analysis again. You're always going to be building strong logical reasoning and also building on your analytical skills throughout that as well. And these type of degrees are really suitable for careers in finance, data science, engineering fields, all really desperate for these type of degrees as well, and scientific research. You got physics and astronomy, and also you have psychology as well. Nice little tip about physics that not a lot of students know about our physics courses. We're currently the #1 ranked university in the entire country for our physics research. So 100% of our physics research is internationally excellent, all world class as well. So by studying a physics degree with us, you know that you're going to be at the cutting edge of the field. You're going to be the one pushing the sector forward as well. And with psychology, you're going to be still given the opportunity to explore cognitive development, clinical and social psychology as well, gaining research skills, statistical analysis, and also understanding human behavior as well. Next, as you can see from the screen here, we have lots of different types of engineering that you can study. Each of these are their own department within the university. However, you can take modules from most of these and actually connect them into another course that you might want to do. So the best thing about our engineering courses are they are really, really flexible for you to be able to build a bit more of a bespoke course for yourself, and none more so than our general engineering, which is literally the course where you will take complete strands of one of these other different sectors and put it into your course to become your own specialist engineer as well. Now, these courses and the ones I've just mentioned on the previous slide, they typically last for around 3 years long. And I'd pretty much say the minimum across any of the ones that I've seen here and on the previous slide were AAB for entry as well. So now, some of these, they do have different sort of pathways attached to them. So you might do what we call you might do what we call a, sorry, I've got a bit of a mind blank there. You'll basically be able to do your bachelor's level of study and connect it to a master's study and make it, instead of studying a 3-year bachelor's and then a 2-year master's after it, you can connect it all together and do a 4-year degree instead. So it saves you a year's worth of your time and a year's worth of your money as well by finishing the degree with a master's, but only studying 4 years instead of having to do 5 and leave in the middle period. Now, you'll also find, I'm not sure how many of you know this about student finance England, but it is changing. The way you apply into student finance will be changing in a few years' time. It might not affect some of you guys. I can't remember if you guys are in year 12 or 13, but essentially, the best thing about doing one of these connected degrees is you can use some of your undergraduate funding for the postgrad portion of your study as well. So it does help fund that as well. Some other good things to know is you can also do industrial placement years with all the different engineering courses that you can see, and also some of the courses that we talked about on the previous slide here. What we mean by placement year is a full year where you take a year out of your typical academic portion of your study and work with an industry provider. Now, the University of Sheffield and most universities across the country, they do have their own specialist sort of careers bank of employers that we've worked with previously. You know, these can be like things like Rolls-Royce with our systems engineering or mechanical engineering, Boeing before as well. Basically, we've got a huge bank now. The students themselves, they'll be told how to use this bank, and it'll be their jobs to actually reach out to those different employers and try to find that placement as well. But if this is not something that you have to sign up for before you start your degree, you can do that whilst you are on your degree as well. And these are the type of skills that you are naturally going to develop from studying in STEM. And employers, they are really desperate for them. They're not just in STEM jobs, but they are in every single industry as well. So problem solving, critical thinking, they are going to help you break down these complicated tasks, coding, digital skills, open doors in technology, engineering, automation, AI, creativity helps you design new ideas and approaches. Communication is essential. And explaining complex ideas simply will help any industry out there as well. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to learn every single individual one of these, but most of these are going to be apparent throughout your study as well. And like I said, employers really are going to be looking for these type of things to make sure that you are extremely employable. And that's what's offered through studying STEM degrees. Now, I am going to be passing over to the first of my 2 ambassadors that I've got on the call with me, which is going to be Alex, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his current studies at the University of Sheffield. So, Alex, unmute yourself and feel free to talk us through.
So hi, I'm Alex. I'm a second-year biomedical scientist. I am on a 4-year degree, so I'm doing an integrated master's, as Jack was just talking about. The reason that I went into biomed was obviously everyone knows how people function, but being able to actually physically see it and understand all the different mechanisms, and understanding all the things we still don't know, like pain. We don't know why we feel pain. So that was very enticing for me in year 12. But currently my favorite module is human anatomy. it's really, really cool to see how many muscles you have in your forearm and your hands, how much effort it actually takes to do all the normal movements we do on a day-to-day basis. Um, and I'm also part of some of like the roller skating society. I go bouldering. I do have time to have a life outside of my degree as well.
Perfect. Thank you for that. So we will have some more questions for Alex later on. So if you do have any, specific questions around his course, feel free to get those added in the chat and we'll get those fielded later on as well. And thank you. Yes, it was integrated masters. I wanted to call it interconnected earlier, but I definitely knew that wasn't correct. So I didn't say it and I had a bit of a brain wipe as well. So yeah, and now I'll pass over to Georgina, who's going to tell us a little bit about her degree as well.
Hi guys, I am Georgina and I'm currently doing third year in my BSc mathematics, not integrated masters, but so I only do 3 years. I chose maths to do at uni because I loved it at A level. I had a really, really great teacher and I just thought this is exactly what I want to do at university. I wanted to learn more about it. I think the great thing about university level maths is that you actually learn why things work and really a lot more deep than what you do at A level. So at A level you learn integration, differentiation, and that's kind of it, and you learn how to implement it. But at degree you kind of learn the reasons why we do it and where it's actually formulated from and deriving things, and lots of proof. Which I find really, really interesting. The other side of it is that I get to now in third year I picked all my modules in third year and I do a lot of applied maths. So I'm doing modules in finance, I'm doing modules in mathematical biology, so kind of linking to biomedical in a way. And I love it because I can do like a wide range of different types of maths. And I've learned so much. I mean, when I started in first year, I didn't even know how to code. And now coding in Python is my life for most of the things that I do. I've learned some really, really great skills, both soft skills and employable skills. Python is great. So yeah, I really love learning about all the real life applications of maths. And then yeah, my favorite project that I've done so far in my degree is we had to do a medical statistics project in which we like modeled disease spread. We were basically told that there was going to be a disease spread through Sheffield and we were given all the parameters. We had to model it in Python and then we had to analyze the implementation of vaccines to stop this disease spread and kind of show how we could come to a place of herd immunity. So it was very similar to what happened with COVID. And it was really, really topical and interesting to learn and see how what happened with COVID could be modeled in real life. And yeah, that's me.
Perfect. Thank you for those both. And yes, two really excellent examples of what currently studying those courses like and what's piqued your interest in studying those courses as well. So as mentioned before with Alex, if you've got any questions for Georgina, drop those in the chat and we'll have a look at those towards the end of presentation. But after we've sort of been looking at, what type of courses are available through STEM, now I want to move on to talking about what sort of careers and what graduate destinations tend to look like in the field, because there are absolutely tons, in case you didn't know as well. So the first one I'm going to go through to is our laboratory and research roles. So, at the start of almost every STEM development, whether it is creating new drugs, understanding genetics, improving materials, or exploring environmental systems, research focused roles are critical. So these roles are often the first step in turning a concept into a solution as well. So some of the more visible roles that you might have seen, typically in like a TV drama or maybe in a movie sometime, you might see something like a biotechnologist, who's someone who works with living organisms. They're often working on like a subject in a tester vial or something like that to develop treatments. They might be trying to improve crops or study genetics as well. You might get a neuroscience as well, someone who studies the brain, nerve systems, and these typically your lab coat wearing STEM studiers as well, or graduates as well. But there is also some ones that you don't always, see behind the scenes, and these are the type of science that contribute to new knowledge, helping industries and society develop solutions in medicine. You might get something what we call a toxicologist, who's someone who assesses safety and potential hazards of chemicals or drugs. You might get a clinical researcher as well, someone who tests treatments or medical interventions to ensure they are safe and effective. A pharmacologist as well, someone who investigates how drugs interact with the body. These roles suit people who enjoy problem solving, analyzing data, and discovering how things work at a molecular, chemical, or biological level as well. You might also get a engineer. Let me just start again. Engineering roles, they do take knowledge generated by those type of sciences and turn it into practical, usable solutions. They design, build, and maintain technologies that touch nearly every part of daily life. So some of the specific roles that I've sort of wrote down here, you've got a mechanical engineer, someone who designs machines, engines, mechanical systems, a structural engineer, someone who works on buildings, bridges, infrastructures, the same ones that you'll be walking past on a daily basis as well. So all these different types of buildings, they'll have an engineer behind them who has drawn the plans up to make sure that building's safe and habitable to both live and working in some cases as well. You might get a biomedical engineer developing medical devices, prosthetics, surgical tools, a materials engineer, someone who creates improved materials products. And then as outside of those, typical ones that always end in engineer as well, you might get some other ones. So a product designer, someone who is literally at the forefront, maybe not even always creating things physically, but creating things on CAD systems. You might get someone who focuses more on the design and manufacturing of things as well. That even goes into medicine production in some cases. So there are lots of real world opportunities where they'll collaborate and transform those ideas into systems that help solve the problems, basically. So the engineer, they're very problem solving based, much like your scientists that we mentioned on the previous slide. I do believe there's another slide that was meant to be in these two, and it's not shown for some reason, but I do have it on the top of my head, and that is why most students will always think that throughout studying in any of these fields that they are just going to be having to be in labs all the time and having to be literally always facing a practical element. That's not always necessarily true, and some of these jobs, they don't always necessarily have like your stereotypical 9 till 5. Lots of these, and especially in Sheffield, we have some labs that are 24/7, and they're not just used by students, they're used by practitioners within the field. So experts in the field, they'll come and use these systems. I do remember, and I know we mentioned COVID already previously, and that does feel like a while ago now, but during the COVID epidemic, we had Pfizer coming in to use some of our pilot plant labs at Sheffield to try and make vaccines, so they didn't find it in Sheffield. That's how state of the art some of these facilities are for the employers that will come in and for the different industries that we use them as well. So that's just something to know. It's not always a daytime job. These things happen all year round and in lots of different ways. Obviously, you've got computing, data, and digital roles as well, and the digital side of STEM really is everywhere. You'll just by having a phone, you're experiencing the digital side on a daily basis, whether that's just the phone itself, from the apps that are on the phone, to the way that text messages are sent as well, or even what's becoming really popular is AI that is being used across pretty much every facet of our life these days as well. Roles in this area, they're always going to focus on programming, data analysis, simulations, algorithm development. Some of the key roles that you could highlight that I've picked out, you've got a software developer who creates applications mentioned there and the systems, an AI machine learning engineer, someone who builds those intelligent systems that learn from data. And the way AI literally works is we'll type a question in, we'll type something that we want to find out, and they'll use all those answers, and an engineer will design how the AI will interpret that to keep developing and grow even better. You've got someone like a data scientist, someone who collects and processes and interprets data to make informed decisions, a statistician, someone who designs studies and interprets results, and applies mathematics to solve problems as well, a risk analysis as well. So a little bit further afield, someone might identify and mitigate potential risks in businesses, different healthcare, engineer systems. These careers, they are crucial for things in sectors like healthcare. You might remember a few years ago, you might be a little bit too young to remember this, but it was literally a risk analyst who was able to find out when the NHS had a global sort of virus that was put across all their computers. The risk analyst had built basically like a way of identifying how that had happened and how to stop that from happening in the future as well. So all these different things that you might take for granted, they'll have these type of roles behind them, making sure that behind the scenes things work and function as they intend to make life feel as seamless as possible. So it's all about logical thinking, coding patterns, recognition, and efficiency for these roles as well. STEM in supporting healthcare. So whilst we won't be focusing too much into things like medicine today, as that's a whole different faculty within most universities aside from STEM. There are lots of different STEM related topics that can be applied into healthcare and health related subjects, and a lot of students who you might they might want to go and study medicine or become a dentist and maybe even do pharmacy as well. Might not quite get the grades though. They might just want something alternative. They've towards the end of their studies, they're not quite enjoying the idea of studying that as much. These type of roles are going to be available for those students as well. So you might only think, like I just said there, doctors, nurses, but STEM provides that range of alternative roles that combine your sciences, your technology, and also patient care as well. You go, a few that I've got here, you've got a biomedical scientist, someone who works in labs, or a medical physicist as well. You might get a trial coordinator, conduct trials to test new treatments. I mentioned toxicologists earlier, but you've also got a pharmacologist who's going to study the effects of drugs and chemicals, a neuroscientist or a geneticist, someone who researches disease as well, brain function and hereditary conditions. These careers, they're going to be ideal for students who want to contribute to healthcare, but may prefer the research, technology and lab-based work over directly working. Now, you might still get like physiotherapy in there as well, which can have that more direct working with students, working with patients as well. So it isn't all just in labs, but for the most part, these will be your alternatives that take you away from that practical side of healthcare that a lot of students they might not be quite as excited by as well. Now, you might have been looking at all that and think, STEM careers, they look similar no matter what you study. And this is absolutely not true. So 60% of graduate jobs are open to any degree discipline. And when I mean graduate jobs, what I mean by that is just anybody who's finished a degree. All the jobs that become available to you by having a degree, 60% of those you can apply to with any degree. So I didn't mention this at the start. A few of you might have heard me speaking about it before the recording started today. I studied a degree in fine art previously, and I'm currently working as a student recruitment officer at the University of Sheffield. So, that just what you study doesn't always necessarily mean you have to go into working within that sector after you've studied it. It gives you opportunities, and the different skills that you'll have been developing through studying any degree are going to be sought after by employers as well. So the real STEM graduates in particular, they are really sought after in all areas. So banking, finance, law, automation, construction, fashion and technology. And in fact, and as you can see on this screen here, I've got lots of alternative STEM graduate areas. So some that I wanted to pinpoint, these are actual ones that students from Sheffield have all been through. So they're all realistic as well. You got something like a chemical engineer who studied at Sheffield previously. They want to become a confectionery developer at Cadbury's. Someone who was developing new sweets, chocolates, other confectionery projects. They were working on recipes. They were looking at what makes the texture of these new recipes work, the flavors, how to build a better shelf life for the product, and also what production processes are being used and how can we make those cheaper, and so there's more profit developed for Cadbury's basically. They were using the principles of their chemical engineering and food sciences modules that they were taking through that chemical engineering to understand how to basically manufacture a better product at the end of the day. You've also got a computer science student who went on to become a game designer. I get asked about computer science leaning into game design roles all the time, and it is realistic. Students do this quite frequently, more than you think. They were creating concepts, mechanics of new engines that would run games, and they were also using the programming skills to help build essentially a better user experience for anybody wanting to use their software as well. You've also got material scientists who become a patent attorney. And in case you've not heard of what a patent attorney is, this is basically someone who helps inventors and companies protect their new inventions and technologies through patents. So you might have seen a program like Dragon's Den or something like that in the past, where they've come up with an invention, but it's not protected, so anyone can make it. A patent attorney is someone who basically puts in a legal document that says, no, you can't copy this, and you would need something like a material science degree to help understand and to know that deep technical knowledge of material science, understand the inventions that are being patented as well. You've also got a biochemistry student who studied regulatory affairs at a pharmaceutical company. They were ensuring new drugs and medical products meet legal and safety standards. And then you've also finally got, I think I've been through them all here, a data scientist in civil service as well. And finally, you've also got a chemistry student who went on to become a solicitor through a law conversion course as well. So the important thing to note here is just because you studied, one type of degree, some opportunities may lie in masters or postgraduate specializations outside of your stereotypical subject areas that would lean into. So a chemistry background will still help, for example, as it would give you better understanding of the technical evidence in cases related to product safety or environmental regulations as well. The important thing to know is STEM knowledge supports credibility and insight across all of these different fields, and it is very sought after in all of those as well. Now, I appreciate I've just been talking to you for what seems like all day, but I think we've got around 10 to 15 minutes now to go through some Q&A with you guys as well. So I do know Louise had some questions ready as well, but I've just got a couple ones here that I want to just ask both our ambassadors while I've got you here, and that I think could be really useful for the student to know. So we'll start with Alex. And I just want to know what career paths are you considering after your degree?
So after my degree, I kind of have it all pretty planned out. I'm thinking about doing a PhD in cardiovascular and neuroscience, and then hopefully remaining within a university. I mean, I'd hope Sheffield, but obviously that's up to decision. And continuing research. I'm looking at doing a short scheme this summer in the exact direct line of work I want to go into. So I'm already having a look at ways that I can go forward with my degree and do what I want to do with it, basically.
Perfect. Can you just explain what that scheme is for students who might not know as well?
So the short scheme is the student undergrad, or is it Sheffield undergraduate research experience. So basically, it's about 6 weeks in your either second or third year summer. Granted that you have another year afterwards, where you basically have a supervisor and you do some research in a lab with them. And it can be based on what they're actually researching at the time. There have been previous Shaw students that have been like put in like lab reports that have been released when they found stuff. So it's just a really great opportunity to see what research is like at a university, and it's a good way to make sure that you do want to do what you're thinking rather than going into it blind.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Alex. Georgia, have you got any considerations after your degree as well?
So over the summer, I did a summer internship in Manchester doing actuarial pensions. So being an actuary is, just for people who don't know, it's like a whole lot of maths at once. It's basically the working out probabilities and risks of how much money you'll need to pay people when they retire, and making sure that we have enough money to pay that. And in that is a whole lot of maths calculations and a whole lot of spreadsheets. So I did that for 6 weeks over the summer, and they offered me a grad role for September next year. So I'll hopefully be going into that. I have also, I mean, that set me up so great, but I've also been looking at doing different finance, such as audit or consulting, for one of the big four, hopefully. Or I've also been looking at doing data science because I've been doing a module in machine learning, which is what you were talking about before, Jack, and I've been really enjoying how to use like data interpretation models and regression models to model real life things using AI. I think it's very topical to, use AI. It's very common now in the workplace, especially in my internship, that we used a lot of AI to look over big data sets. So I also found that I really enjoyed looking at large data sets. So I have a lot of things that I could go into, all of them very mathsy. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We do have a couple of questions that have come through in the chat, so I'll just park my questions that I've got on the screen for now, whilst I do get some actual answers to you guys that are asking those done. So one that's come through is with regards to considering applying to Sheffield to study maths currently, going to do an A-level in physics, maths, further maths, that's absolutely great, and statistics as well. And they just want to know, do they get to choose what modules they're focused on during their studies, or does everyone follow the same syllabus? I think that's a good question for you, George. What is studying that maths pathway like?
So I did physics and maths as well at A levels, so very good choices. Further maths will definitely set you up really well for when you start at degree, because when you start in first year at Sheffield, your modules are chosen for you. It depends if you're doing maths and statistics or just straight maths, and if you want to do a master's that's integrated or not. I looked into doing the M-Maths, so that's the integrated masters. So I do have a bit of knowledge on that. But in first year, everyone does the same modules. You don't get to pick any. They're a wide range of maths and statistics based things. So you do a statistics module, you do a pure maths module, and pure maths isn't like pure maths at A level. Pure maths is now a lot of proof. And then you do core maths, which is where your further maths will come in really handy, because basically everyone is taught up to the same level, because Sheffield accept people that do further maths and then also accept people that don't do further maths. So they need to get everyone up to the same level. So by Christmas of first year, everyone will be at the same level and you have all been taught the same things. But that's why it's good to have further maths, because you get more, you'll know it already. It'll just be taught to you in a different way than at A level and in a lot more in depth, which I think if you love maths will be really, really interesting. In second year, you get to pick some of your modules. I think you get to pick about 40 credits out of 120. I chose more probability modules and a few more project-based modules, because we do have a lot of exams in maths and I kind of wanted a break from exams, so the projects are really good. Also because I wanted to practice my write-up skills, because in maths you do a lot of numbers and not as much writing, so I thought that was a really good way to balance. And then in third year you get to pick all your modules. If you're on the straight maths degree, if you're on the maths and stats degree, there is a few that you have to do, but it'll be good if you like statistics. And then if you do integrated masters, you get to do a research project in fourth year and then pick, that's worth half of your degree, and then you get to pick the other half, more like bigger modules that you'll also do a few projects in those, but your research project can be on whatever you want, and they'll give you a big list of possible ones and you can pick your supervisor. So there's a lot of choice, and your A levels will set you up really well for doing maths degree for sure.
Thank you for that. Brilliant answer. Just another question. I think I can answer this one, to be fair. If you were doing a master's in maths, would that put you at a disadvantage applying to any engineering job if I decide one to later on, in comparison to someone who did engineering as a degree itself? The answer to that is there is not quite a straightforward answer, to be fair. You know, there is lots and lots and lots of different types of engineering jobs that even someone who's done like an engineering degree, they might still not be able to apply into it because they need a different type of specification around an engineering job. So Whilst I would say, it's not going to put you at a disadvantage into applying into a certain type of career or a general area, there is always going to be like one type of job that might have a specific need or a specific type of engineering to be able to go onto it. And then some will be a lot more broad, and some of those can be quite competitive where they just want the best applicant and the best student, not necessarily someone who's done a really specific type of degree as well. So it all depends on what area you want to go into. The best answer I can sort of give you, you can use a tool, something like Unifrog, maybe look at different graduate destinations that you want to do, and look if you really need a specific type of degree to be able to go into that type of career. You need to do that degree basically. Yeah, it's not as black and white as yes or no for sure for that, but yeah. No more questions in the chat. I don't know if you had any, Louise, or should I just continue with ours that we got on the present? There's one come through now, so I'll just come to that as well. Is it worth applying for 2 courses if I have an interest in multiple engineering degrees to increase my chance of getting accepted to at least one, or to both and then picking one later? And would that be seen as being undecided and increase my chance of acceptance? I already have my A results. They are sufficient for the courses and I have a couple of spaces left on my application. Most engineering degrees that you'll apply for, all applications for UCAS, they only use one personal statement that will be attached through your UCAS application. So if you're applying for multiple degrees, they typically have to be in the same area as each other, as all the different institutions that you're applying for will receive the same personal statement. So you can't really tailor your personal statement to apply for 2 different types of engineering degrees. It does show a little bit of a conflict of interest. The only caveat to that is some institutions, and usually have to apply through the admission, usually have to contact their admission services. They will say that we will take a separate statement, but you'll always have to email them and get confirmation that you're able to do that with them. You can't just assume that you can apply for like a chemical engineering degree if all of your personal statement is written about civil and structural engineering, for example. So hopefully that answers your question. It's always worth contacting admissions at those different institutions that you're considering. And also when you have applied for your universities as well that you want to study with, they're going to show you, they're going to give you an offer, whether that will be an accept with a conditional offer, an accept with an unconditional offer, or a decline. So there'll only be one of 3 different types that you'll get back, and then you'll be able to firm an insurance, whichever ones of those you'll receive as well. So the most important thing is that you apply for realistic choices that sort of fit in with what you're expecting to get and what you'll think you'll succeed in as well. Because like I mentioned at the start of my presentation, these degrees, they're not short things. 3 years at a minimum in most cases, and north of that, going up to 4 and 5 years for some of the integrated masters, and including if you're going to take a placement year as well. So it's going to be a lot of investment on your time for sure. Brill. I know, keep those questions coming in. I'll just look at another couple that I had from myself as well. What is something that you knew you wish before you started your degree? And we'll go to Alex first for this one as well.
I did mentoring yesterday, and I did a whole entire session based on this, something I wish I knew before I came to uni. And it's a great question that I'm still quite unsure on. There's there's times it can be really intense, and there's times it can be really calm. It's quite weird. Like at the minute for me, I've got a lab report due on Thursday. I've got like a million labs. I've got tons of lectures. I've got like 5 exams come January. Promise it's not always like this. But then after Thursday, it's just gonna be just lectures. So I think knowing that the amount of work I'm going to have is going to like flip around quite a lot. I think that's something I wish I knew, that it's not just going to be a constant amount of work. It's going to be like some weeks I feel like I don't remember because of the amount of work I had. And then some weeks I don't actually remember doing any university work. It's quite different based on the week.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And then Georgina as well.
I think for me, I was really, really nervous about moving from home to university. I really love home, and luckily I don't live far from Sheffield, so it's quite easy to get home. But I think I wish I knew how much support there was for people here. Um, I had a really, really, I lived in student accommodation, Ranmore, which is one of the villages, and my resident life mentor used to come every week, and we used to have a really lovely chat, and he used to check in with me, and that was really, really nice. Also, just knowing that you'll make friends I was really nervous that I wouldn't make any friends and I'd hate it, and it's just the complete opposite of my life now. I love it here. I made so many friends through my courses, through societies, through just putting myself out there a bit more. Um, and yeah, knowing that it would all be okay and work out well, and it's not as scary as you think it will be. And you look back by Christmas of first year or the end of first, and you think, well, I actually did that. And I actually now have a whole life set up without my family. And it's really great to become independent. So don't be scared of independence, because it's really good, and it's just another step in your life. I think that's my biggest thing.
Thank you for that. And I'll keep on with you, Georgina. I know you mentioned, the idea of moving away, felt like a bit like a challenge. Would you say that was the biggest challenge that you faced as well, or is it something more course specific or anything like that?
I think I was nervous about, I mean, my biggest thing was moving away, but also I didn't do further maths at A level. And so my biggest thing I was really nervous of was all these people are going to be so clever and know what they're doing, and I'm not going to know what I'm doing. And that is, again, didn't happen at all. I made sure I asked questions in lectures. I made sure I went to the office hours. So every week the lecturers will put on an office hour you can go to and ask any questions. And I think the biggest thing I always say to people is no question is a stupid question. Like, the lecturers love what they do, otherwise they wouldn't be lecturing. And so when you go and ask them a question, they love it, and they're so helpful and kind, and their door is always open. So I think the fact I didn't do further maths, I was quite happy with it, because I got caught up very quickly, and they were always there to answer my questions if I found things hard. So that course specific would be that as well.
Thank you for that. I do have another question that's coming for Alex as well. I think you'd be best to answer this in the chat, and it is, I'll just use for for STEM degrees in general. If someone chooses to do that 4-year integrated masters pathway, do they find that fourth year project is more project based or research based?
So, from what I know about integrated masters, it is more project based. It's a little bit like third year, just a bit extra. It's very self-led, very obviously I'm only in second year, so I'm not doing it yet, but no, it's very project based. You'll basically decide something that you want to focus in on for the year, and you'll focus in on that. You probably will have modules you can choose as well to further enhance your knowledge and stuff like that. And an integrated masters, it's very much a lot more self-led than first and second year are. We have a lot of mandatory modules, but in a masters, they're not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. You chose to do that masters, so they kind of give you a bit more free will.
Thank you for that. I've got one last question from myself for you both, and then we'll move on to the end of our presentation today. That would be if you had, one piece of advice to give to any of the students on the call today, what would that piece of advice be? And it's usually, can be quite a hard one, I appreciate. And I know, and obviously mine's not generally related to just STEM, but if I had one piece of advice that I would give to any student who's going to start that, that university degree in any form, just make sure that you try to make as many friends around you as possible when you are starting. It really does help to see people who are also going through the same experience as you and get an understanding of how they're feeling or how they're finding the actual syllabus that you're being taught. support, you'll find that you are able to help and also receive help in a lot more ways than you'd have ever anticipated had you not been doing that. So try to make as many friends as possible would always be my go-to. Have you guys thought of anything as well?
Do you want to go first, Georgina?
Mine is so cheesy but so true. You just need to throw yourself into everything. In Sheffield, we have 300 plus societies, and there will definitely be something that you enjoy that is a society that you will go to, and you will just gel with the people there. So I think the biggest thing is just kind of let yourself just do it and live it and meet as many people who are like-minded. I think one of my favorite things about coming to uni is that I actually met people who enjoyed maths for maths, which is kind of cringe but kind of true. And it was just great to meet so many like-minded people. So yeah, just throw yourself into it and you'll have a great time. Alex, what are you gonna say?
I think mine kind of comes off the back of both of yours. It's a piece of advice I have given to my friend many and many times. It's not the end of the world if you don't get a first. Getting a 2-1 and having a good social life and having fun and making the most out of your university experience is so, so much better than a first. Like people, if you apply to a job, you and somebody else go to the same university. One of you got a first, one of you got a 2-1, but the person who got a 2-1 has got more experience and lives just how they want to live. They're more likely to choose the person with the 2-1 unless they have to have a first. It's a case of they want the experience. They're getting a first is not the be all and end all. You can like go and do these societies and meet these people and like all these insane things that you can do at university. Like tonight, I'm going to rollerblade in a skate park, and I am terrified, but I'm going to do it anyway because I can. So don't put the course in front of everything in order to get a first. Getting a 2-1 and having a social life is the best thing you can do at uni.
Some wise person once said to me, a 2-1 is a first with a social life. And
Yeah.
I took that
Yeah.
to heart. I really did.
Perfect. Thank you for that, both. Really good insight there as well. Yeah, so I'll just got a few more slides to show you, and that will bring me to the close of my presentation today. I did mention Access Plus a few times throughout the presentation today. And just to let you know, if you are an Access Plus student, you do get to have access to support such as contextual offer of up to 2 grades below. If you are taking that summer school project, you get an Access travel bursary, dedicated team on hand to answer questions, expert online help and guidance sessions to support you in your journey to higher education. And then there's some more different links available through our website. So if you just go to Access page, if you feel like this might apply to you, you'll be able to look at our transition mentors and also how the bursaries work as well. And there's also an email address which you can use to contact the Access team directly. And while this isn't a complete exhaustive list of who might apply, who might fall into our Access Plus categories, you will typically be eligible if you are or if your personal circumstances mean any of the following that you can see on the screen there as well. So I'll not spend too long on this. This is all available through our website. If you've really enjoyed hearing from our ambassadors today and that you feel like you want to talk a little bit closer to other ambassadors at the university, we have an ambassador platform called TAP available, and you'll find this if you go on any of the University of Sheffield's websites. You can also scan the QR code that you can see on the screen there, and that'll take you directly to our TAP platform as well. But basically on any web page that we've got, you'll see a little bubble pop up that'll say talk to a student. You can drop a direct message into a student about courses, campus life, university experiences. This will monitor through the university as well, and what they'll do is give you honest answers about how they're finding their experience as well. They'll also maybe send you some articles that will help answer questions and basically be as helpful as possible to your inquiry. And then for more information around what we offer, and I do know Miss Lowe has posted some of those in the chat as well. There are some links to our Open Day website, but there are a few different other avenues which you can stay in contact with us. We run a weekly webinar at Sheffield called Sheffield Live, in which we talk about all different things related to studying a degree or just experiences at university. So this can be student finance, it can be what the transition to university life is like, how to join societies, what accommodations like, and get like an accommodation tour as well in a virtual format. There are lots of different things you can sign up for there. We also run our taste sessions, so these are actual subject tasters. It's quite difficult to talk about every single individual thing that happens in STEM and give you as much detail as possible, and that is what our subject tasters for at Sheffield. You can book on with the actual academics in each of those individual courses that I've mentioned briefly in some instances today, and they'll actually be able to teach you and talk to you and show you what that course is like in an hour format, in the same structure that it would be done at university level as well. So you can get a real understanding if that type of course would be right for a student like yourself as well. Like I said, you can chat to our current students through that ambassador platform function, and also always don't forget, there's never a daft or silly question to ask. Ask as much questions as possible. Do as much research as you want to find out what's right for you. This is going to be your future, and you want to make sure that you get it absolutely right. So do as much as you can as well. And that is just it for us. So I just wanted to say thank you. Hopefully you found this session informative. You've seen the range of careers that are available, and also the different type of courses that start your pathways into those career within the field of STEM. I also want to just extend my thank yous out to our ambassadors, Alex and Georgina. It's been really good to get your insights through the presentation today, and I will be passing over to Louise. But thanks again for everyone for asking your questions and staying on for the duration of this call, and hopefully you can make a more informed choice about your future as well. Thanks very much. I'll just pass over to Louise now as well.
I can't thank you guys enough. It's been absolutely tremendous. You've really covered such a lot of ground, but I think also having not just yourself, Jack, but having access to Alex and Georgina, who've just, really given us an insight into the academic roots, but also the personal life. And I take on board totally and utterly what you've said about, having a life and being that all-rounded character that actually employers really want as well, so they don't just want the academic. You've answered some cracking questions, and in fact, actually looking at my list of questions that I had in advance, you've pretty much covered everything between you, both in the presentation and in the questions that you've asked, Jack. What I'm going to suggest is, just because we're just at the end of the hour, is that if we have any further questions, we'll email those to you and ask them via our emails, if that's okay, via yourself, Jack. But I would encourage all students as well just to think about visiting the open days. The University of Sheffield is a fantastic university. You may be considering that, you might be considering others, and we would just encourage students to go to the open days, ask these questions of the ambassadors and the other people around, especially students. When you go to those, have some pre-planned questions, but be really open-minded as well. What you gave, I think, also is a really good idea about where university can lead and how that can be an open door as you go through, looking at the enthusiasm you've got, both of you, Alex and Georgina, for your subject, but also then thinking about those summer schools and the direction of travel in your later stages. So people don't have to have all their careers planned out, they just need to be enthusiastic about the courses. And one of the questions that was asked before, you've really covered, which is, I guess, in a way, about addressing how students go about choosing their courses and those modules that make up, their particular specialities. And you won't know that till you get there. So get stuck in, go to the open days, ask those questions, look at the differences between the courses. Thank you so much for this evening. It's been absolutely great. We could have gone on, I know, for at least another half an hour at least, but great to see you guys. Thank you very much indeed. And we look forward to, Jack, we'll see you again, I know, in college, and yourself, Alex and Georgina, we wish you all the very best. Thank you very much for this evening, and thank you to students and parents for staying online this evening. Take good care. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.